I was a freshman in high school, he was a senior in high school, and Dominic was killed in a car accident. I remember my parents walking in the door and just telling me that he was gone. And I don't think I've ever felt that way. The loss that I felt, the pain that I felt, it was so intense, and I just remember screaming. Growing up, mine and Dominic's father wasn't really around. For a while, we were just the one constant in each other's life. He was the closest thing to a best friend that I had ever had. I went down a really dark path following that. I just didn't want to feel anything. So I drank all the time. I think I was trying to forget about the pain, but I didn't want to forget about Dominic. When he was in high school, Dominic played lacrosse. He always wanted me to play, and I ended up going off and playing Division I lacrosse. I didn't even make it through my first semester of college before I ended up in a hospital one night with alcohol poisoning.
Today, a judge handed down a very stiff sentence.
When I was 20 years old, a year later, I was out one night with friends, and we had been drinking.
From a good Samaritan to a man who was just pretending to be.
I had left my phone in a friend of mine's purse. So I left in the middle of the night to go get my phone from her. I ended up on the highway and I had a flat tire. So I pulled off, not the greatest of areas. I didn't have my phone. I didn't know where I was.
Maury Butler stopped to help a stranded motorist.
And so there was a man there, and he offered to help me change my flat tire, and he needed a ride home. Yeah, so I let him into my car, and he started touching my leg and told me again to stop the car, and I started speeding up, and then he punched me in the face and told me to stop the car or he'd kill me, and I thought that he was going to kill me, and I just remember thinking to myself, this is it. This is the end. I just remember begging him, please don't take me from my parents. They've already lost one child. And he just told me to put the seat back, and he climbed on top of me and he raped me. Yeah, I kind of felt like I couldn't do anything right for a long time. People would make comments, well, why did she let him into her car? I saw that she was drinking, and I wish I would have heard, it's not your fault. No matter what you did, you didn't deserve this. The aftermath, it really opened those wounds again, and I fell back into those patterns of wanting to numb myself. Because I hated who I was when I looked in the mirror. I had a lot of self-hatred, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. That insecurity came out in really dangerous and really unhealthy ways. And I suffered from anorexia for a number of years. That turned into bulimia. But, I think everyone handles trauma differently. I just wish that I had reached out for help because, I couldn't move on to a place of healing until I just acknowledge this is now a part of my story. And then we finally went to trial, and he ended up being sentenced to 60 years.
At the sentencing hearing, she looked her rapist straight in the eye and said, you did this and you're going to pay. And today, the woman he attacked had her day.
Soon after, I met my now husband, and he helped me to turn my life around. To feel like you have someone who's a cheerleader for you when you're not even a fan of yourself it was really cool. So I think that when I started to look at my pain and look at my suffering from a different perspective, from the perspective of this can be an opportunity to change other people's lives, my heart was just much more empathetic. It was softened for the first time in my life, and I was feeling things for the first time, and I was taking care of myself again. I loved myself again, and I started traveling overseas as a documentary photographer, and I was working with trauma centers and rape crisis centers for months at a time, and for the first time I felt like I was doing something right. It just gave my life so much more meaning and so much more purpose. It's been fun to be able to learn all of these things and put those out into the world for other people to learn. Yeah, it brings me a lot of joy to take care of myself every day. I love exercising. I love going to the gym. I love becoming strong. I love eating food for the sake of nourishing my body. I love being in tune with my heart and with my mind. I feel like I'm looking at the world and I'm looking at myself, I'm looking at my life from just a fresh new perspective. I've come to find that when God meets you where you're at, He really brings purpose in all of your pain. I know now, looking back, that it's a beautiful way that He's allowed me to connect with other people. That's what the strength of our stories have. And it hurts me and it's painful to, relive some of these things that I've been through, but I know that if I get through to just one person, that's all I hope for. Anytime I get up and talk and tell my story. We just have to be open to our pain. We have to allow ourselves to feel it. And once we do that, we can learn to love ourselves again, and then we can learn to love other people.